I'm still letting some folks in. You are at the halfway point for this course right now. Here we are. There were several people, as I told you before, who made a decision to take it in the spring. I thought that was very wise as a result of life commitments, challenges. So I was really supportive and will always be, just so you know. If it's just not right timing, I have to say truthfully, if I'm totally honest, I think the best time for practice is when we're drowning. I also think it's the most difficult. No, right? Because wow, don't we learn quick when you're going under for the fit? Like, I better figure something else out here. Unfortunately, they're two truths, and they are not inconsistent with each other. We learn best when we're in suffering. That's true. And it's most difficult because the distractions are the highest, the anxieties, the distresses, the concerns, the mind spinning around the difficulties is strongest. And so then practice, what we think of as practice, by the way, what we like as practice, which is what? Relaxed, calm, centered, right? We love this part of the practice, is not available to us. Well, guess what? That's not the point of practice. As much as we like it, and I love when it's available to us. It took me 9 years. 9 years of practice every day to figure out that practice wasn't about trying to feel better, trying to get somewhere else, trying to get rid of that feeling, trying to get this feeling, trying to get rid of all my feelings, just trying to zone out. This took me 9 years of everyday practice to realize that I could not outrun myself. Do you know what I mean by that? I could not outrun my experience. I could not outrun my emotions. I could not outrun my thoughts. I could not outrun the circumstances of my life as they were, whether I liked them or I didn't like them. I was not fast enough. And by the way, I'm pretty quick. I really like the running model. It just doesn't really work. And so this is the beginning of our practice in the second half of the 8-week course, where we learn how to stop running. The first part of the course was just trying to cultivate a little bit of stability of mind. If I could just keep placing and resting and placing and resting and attending and noticing the thought and unhooking and just coming back to the body breath, and then racing and thinking and looping and judging, and then unhooking and getting right. This is the practice. The practice isn't not thinking. It's not thinking something else. It's not having a better thought. It's to actually recognize with open, spacious awareness, to the extent that that is possible. Recognize thoughts as thoughts and thinking as thinking, and not making more of it than the truth itself will make. You get that? Not more of it than the truth itself will make. Most of what we think, and we have a lot of good evidence for this, doesn't actually ever happen, isn't real. By the way, we're making it up mostly. We call that pixelating, taking a part of a truth and going, uh-oh, this is going to be my life. This is going to be forever. This is going to, right? Don't we? This hangnail, this, or this cancer, by the way, doesn't mean life's easy, right? We narrow the focus, we grab on, and we make it mine. And we do that by habit, and we do it over and over, so that in a moment of stress, that's what we're going to be talking about today. What actually happens is the habit wins. It grabs on takes hold and says, this is my messed up life. This is my unworkable situation. This is the most horrible moment ever. And it's just not true. It doesn't mean you have to like it. It doesn't mean it's pleasant, right? Joys and sorrows. In fact, there's an old Taoist saying, 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows make for a perfect, wonderful life. What are they saying? It's all going to happen. It's all going to be there. You're not going to get out of it. I'm not going to get out of it. The age of most of the people in this gallery suggest we're not going to get out of this, are we? So then, what is the practice? And that's what we're going to talk about today. Since we're not getting out of this human life, how do we actually, as completely, wholeheartedly, whole attention, how do we then show up for it? Okay, that's going to be our work today. That looks like a kind of a curriculum, doesn't it? Right? Like, wow, are we going to try to cover that in 90 minutes? Let's see how well we do. No, we're going to cover it every day with every breath that you have and can open to for the rest of our lives, right? That's where the practice is. However pleasant this visualization will be, and some of you at the end will go, oh, that was so lovely. You will. That's not the point of the practice either, right? Recognizing a pleasant moment is pleasant is useful. Recognizing our felt sense about it is useful. Recognizing what the truth of it, that it arrives, that it shows up, and that it impacts and influences us. This is useful. And that it also, what did we say last week as our beginning? It changes, fades, and goes. Like all moments. The ones we like, and then the ones we don't. So I think I've got everybody here today. Why don't we get ready for our sitting? This sitting is going to be the halfway point visualization. I haven't done this one in a while. It's part of why I've made a decision to offer it. This is a visualization, a little different than a contemplation, a little different because we're going to use imagery, a little bit different than our typical practice, because often in practice we pick one object, we center it up, we place the mind on it, and at least for some amount of minutes every day, we're going to see if we can't hold ourselves lovingly in presence with awareness there. That's the base practice. Breath awareness practice is one example. Candle flame practice would be another example. Sound awareness practice would be another example. Why? They're all one objects. We're just opening to that, letting it come, be, and go, not moving the mind with it, just in that object awareness. We're going to do something a little different today. Some of you will like it. If you cannot visualize, not everyone can. I am not a strong visualizer, as an example. Very strong auditory memory door. Anything you say to me, I'm going to remember it forever. That's my auditory. Very few people have auditory memory as their primary processing energies. So, of course, people who are blind, for example, might have it. For whatever reason, I was gifted that, and also limited to some extent to the visual. It's fine. I've learned how to work with that. You've learned how to work with your adjustments and realities. If, for example, you're not a visual person, just find an image, see if you can't just hold on to it for a moment. In most visualizations, the reality is that there's a little pixel card directory in your brain, and it goes, which picture? Which picture? Should I pick this picture or that picture? By the way, it's okay to flip for, do I want that one? Do I want, or maybe I'm going to take the two. I'm going to take a little piece of each. This is all fine. But within a couple breaths, just pick something. It's actually more important than just a continual flipping. But for some people, that just continual directory flow, pixel just happens. You're just in it going, wow, there's just 19 versions of this path for me. Not one. Don't become distressed. It's not a problem. That's just the way your brain is working with the instructions and it's just fine. So don't get distressed. I have some folks who've gotten a little, like, I couldn't find one. It's okay. You'll pick one for a couple breaths and then maybe it will change. See what you can do with steadying the mind, because that's also an interesting part of the practice here. Okay, so I'm going to take off my Crocs so I can get my feet anchored into the ground. See what it takes for you to become fully present, available. As you all know, I have a little cushion that I sit just beneath, and I'm going to show it to you again. I set it here because my arms are long and it pulls me down. So I keep my arms, for example, at pretty much a 90-degree angle in all my sittings, my long ones, my short ones, because it feels most balanced for me. And then you can just begin to lower your gaze. If it feels right for you, you can close the eyes, but that's not required at all. The eyes do exactly what's right. So you're just going to let the eyes find their way. But a soft gaze directed downward will make the mind less active. And so we invite that. We're going to feel the feet grounded to the floor. If you're sitting like I am in a chair, you'll notice a certain bend of the knee. If you're sitting on a cushion, you'll notice the splay of the knees. You'll notice potentially the opening of the inner thigh, the hip flexors. And there's usually a little tension there just to begin for the first few moments. Feeling the uprightness of the spine. Let the shoulders drop, become heavy. Don't carry them around. Let them support you. Let the whole skin of the body hang off of that perfect T, that spine, and then that shoulder yoke. Let the whole rest of the body just settle. We're going to just tip the chin slightly towards the chest, allowing the crown of the head to point upwards. This is also the most relaxing for the throat, the neck, and the face. We let have us. And with each out breath, then, we're simply going to let the out breath be the directional for the mind. We're going to invite the mind home into the body, into the settling, opening, releasing, and relaxing body. We're setting the perfect place for the mind to rest. And the first place is this body as a whole, just sitting. You don't have to zero in on anything. That's a mistake in the instructions. The Buddha said, know the body as the body first. What a beautiful instruction. Just know who and where you are. And after just a moment of silence, in a moment of stillness, you'll begin to naturally be brought, excuse me, into attention towards the breath. Just see where you notice it most. Now, we're not going to glue the attention there. That's not quite fair. We're going to vacillate and do a little thing called toggling, says the neuroscience. We'll go, oh, there's the body, there's the breath. Oh, there's the body again, and there's the breath. And we're just going to let that happen. It's called initial thinking. We're finding our way to our primary object. But without distress, without force, without demand, and without expectation. Remember, the first part of the breath that we can enjoy is usually the release in the out breath. Let's see if we can't catch it, either at the beginning, the middle, or the end. But with each out breath, let's see if we can't touch in lightly somewhere. Remember that we have aspiration, and that is to bring as much attention to the out breath as we can. And so with each out breath, then, we're seeing if we can actually make contact, feel that felt sense of release, of emptying, the way the body comes back to itself towards the spine. Just a little bit more, as best we can. With each out breath. Staying soft, relaxed, open and receptive in the body. You may notice a cleansing breath happening, and maybe longer or shorter breath, a few short breaths, just a way of getting more air or oxygen into the body and just letting all that happen. And then let's see if we can't now, it's called sustain attention. It's the second aspect of awareness practice. First, we find the object, and then we're going to see if we can't sustain attention. And that means seeing now if you can expand the attention to hold for the beginning, the whole ride of the breath as best you can, and then the end. And then that still pause there at the end. Just see how much of that you can stay in contact with, and it will vary depending on breath, day, mental states, and circumstances. We're not judging it or analyzing in any way. We're simply knowing. And once the mind becomes a little bit more stable, it actually notices beyond the breath and then the pause at the end of the breath. It can rest there just a little bit more without impatience or frustration or even filling in with extra thoughts, extra um, ideas, just resting at the end of the out breath and in that open space, and then catching the arrival of the in breath, and then riding the wave of the in breath, letting it open, expand, and rise you up. And then for just a moment before we begin the visualization, let's see if you can't just enjoy the breath. Enjoying the rise, the expand, the open, the lift, the transition, and the release. See if you can't soften the face and smile a little at this cultivating present moment awareness just like this. Let the breath become most interesting, most beautiful, most life-giving. We begin to naturally let everything else fall into the background. Happens on its own. There are no thoughts about the self, no thoughts about the practice, no thoughts about life that bring you most present to it. It's actually the arriving, the being here, the staying in contact. This is being alive. And then I'd like you to imagine, if you would, a path laid out somewhere in front of you. It can be a curvy path, a straight path. There's no criterion for this path. It could be of a certain texture, substance, width, or length. But I'd like you to place a path somewhere out in front of you, several steps, let's say 20 or so at least, because we're going to place on that path. And so just for a moment, imagine I do a lot of walking and hiking, and so it's very easy for me to construct a visual on this. And my path is dirt, for example. It could be gravel, brick, could be paved with gold. Who knows? But let the mind pick maybe a little bit more than your idea about it. And mine's dirt, and I have lots of chaparral around and some big rocks and boulders. And it's sunny day for me. And just see what comes for you. It may not even be very clearly delineated, but you have a sense of knowing the way. And then we're going to start to walk along this path. And as we're walking, we're going to keep paying attention. We're going to keep looking around us. What's here? I'm seeing many, many more big boulders and rocks around me, some at a distance, some near. Again, it could be a different season, a different weather, It's all workable. And as we're walking along this path, we're looking down now on the path and we see a pebble, whatever your definition of a pebble is. I guess we could say an object, natural object. The way it's done typically is to say a pebble, but I'd be interested to see what else you find. And you're looking down at this pebble, seeing its characteristics before you even pick it up. And then you reach down to pick it up and hold it in your hand. So it's something that can fit into your hand. And you're holding it now in your hand as you look upon this pebble object. And I'd like you to just gently hold the pebble for a moment. Keep it in your hand. Wrap your fingers gently, just so we can begin to know the pebble. And so I'd like you to investigate the pebble for a moment. What's the size? What's the color? Using your eyes. What's the texture? Sharp or smooth? Regular, irregular? Just feeling, looking. And then begin to turn the pebble slightly, just so you have a sense of it from all sides. A pebble is a dimensional object, one-sided. So turn it over, look over it, turn the hand this way or that, however you do, just to feel the other sense of this pebble. Mine's almost triangular. It's very unusual for me, interesting. And again, no right or wrong way. Shiny or rough. Maybe a flat color. Muted or very bright. There's no right way. And now we begin to walk again while holding this beautiful pebble, this found and discovered pebble with us. And as we walk, we look up and we see a well. We could call it a wishing well, a water well, a well that maybe you've seen before, maybe in a book, a fairy tale, maybe one in your own history. And we begin walking towards that well with this pebble object in our hand. And as we walk, the pebble invites a question. And now it's become a pebble question that we're holding. And that pebble question is, what brings me here? What brings me here? We hold that pebble and continue to walk, knowing that with each step, there's more information. We're not looking for an answer. Be watchful of the tendency to try to solve it or answer it. We're holding the question and then just letting it permeate, really metabolize into our own bodies and beings. What brings me here to this halfway point on this mindfulness journey? And we finally arrive up towards the edge of the well. Remember, tall or short, maybe something in the ground, something raised above it, maybe a roof, maybe not, maybe water, maybe not. It's not important. But this well is a deepening process. And so we're going to hold that pebble out in our hand, out over that well, opening of the well. And we're going to ask this question one more time. What brings me here? right now. And then we're going to get ready to release this question and let it begin to fall slowly into the well. And as we release, that question just keeps being invited. What brings me here now? And we might be watching the pebble. And then eventually the pebble hits a surface. And in this visualization, it might be the surface of water. It might be another kind of surface. And it actually begins to then deepen beyond our original surface, deeper into the earth, into the water, into the well, into our own depth of being. What brings me here right now? You can watch that pebble as it slowly deepens. And then that well, and that well of your own being become one. And we're just letting that pebble question move deeper and deeper into the core of being, our truth, our own reality. What is it? We let it touch. Release the surface of what it touches upon. And we let it rest there. We know where it is. This pebble question. Letting it rest deep within. And with a few breaths, we simply listen. You may get a few words, you may get an image, you may get nothing but open space. It's all good. This is a continual inquiry, a continual investigation and exploration of how and who we are right now and what our intention is for this practice, for this group, for this class, for the last half. And then we can, with this new question, this new invitation, and this new information, if there is any, we can continue, we rise up, we continue to walk along the path. Just see what might be different in the way you feel, in the walk, in the environment. I see the ocean up in front of me. And maybe nothing changes. Remember, all workable. And then we get to a place to rest, maybe a chair or a bench, a place on the ground, a place that's comfortable, that's safe. And look out over that vast expanse, whatever it is. We're just resting here, remembering and knowing that we have miles to go before we sleep, says Robert Frost. Miles to go before we sleep. Enjoying the view, enjoying the breath, enjoying the rest. May we all be happy. May we all be well. Not rushing. We're just going to check back into the now body as a whole. And remember, always offering yourself some gentle movement. Staying in the body, now the body in motion, in movement. And just shaking it out a little bit. So there is the pebble question practice. Just take a moment, see if you can find a few words, maybe to describe your experience. Just in general, maybe a few words to describe your experience. I see peace there. What else? Safe, familiar, calming, enlightening. Yeah, sometimes some information comes. Openness. Lighter, eased, open. Wonderful. Could you take a moment and describe your pebble or your object a little bit? Just put 2 or 3 words. What was your pebble like? I'll just describe. Mine was black, shiny, very irregular, and a very sharp point, almost like an arrowhead, but not quite. It was more dimensional. And actually, I'm into gems and gemstones a little bit. I actually think I know which one that might have been, and it is stone of protection, if it's the one I'm imagining. Large, green, black and smooth, small pine cone, river rock. Yeah, what else? Smooth, white, turtle shell, crystal clear quartz with jagged edges. Just that was a little like mine. Piece of wood with a crack in the middle filled with tiny gray pebbles. Very interesting. Lovely. Beautiful. The last question will be, what did your pebble offer you? What did the drop in the well offer you? Did you have any sense of what brought you here? What's bringing you here? What you want, what you need, what you're looking for, what you're seeking, what you're hoping to release? Did you get any sense of that? This is that inquiry. There was another stone gray, palm size, rough, mostly round, but had some smooth patches. Hope. Here's some of the intentions for our last second. Surprisingly, yes, great. Peace, healing, yes. Exhilaration for life, yeah. Wanting to bring good energy to life. Lovely. Being a better person, yes. Being a more conscious person, a more mindful person will definitely contribute to us being a better person, more authentic, more real, more caring, more compassionate. Being okay alone, yeah. Good practice. Courage, yeah. A certain kind of strength and fearlessness to come. Lovely. Wonderful. Thank you all. Cultivating a new attitude. Yes, the beauty of mindfulness is that it will do that for us. The more mindful we become, the more we are naturally shaped by it also, and by the realities of our life, rather than by our storylines, our narratives, or our add-ons. Those get actually quite stuck. So a new attitude, if we're paying attention, that's guaranteed. Lovely. All right. I'm going to transition now, unless there's somebody else who has something specific to offer, really, because we have so much to look at with the stress cycle. But thank you. I've got some people waiting. I'm going to let them in. Welcome. Sorry, we were in the middle of a discussion. Glad that you're here and can join us. We just did a visualization. The Pebble question, you will see it in the archive. We won't have time to talk more about it now, but that was our practice today as we are at the halfway point of the course. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to suggest you do now, is if you would go to the week 4 stress circle. Let's take a look at that. I keep losing that for some reason. I never know why that happens. I have it up here and then it disappears on me. Let me see if I can't find that now. There it is. I'll see if you guys can see that. Can you see the circle? Yeah, I see Philip can see. Yep, great. Thank you, guys. This is the part of the stress cycle, part one. And then there's in week 5, there's a part 2. I did this. I just made up this thing. So, don't take it as a theory or be watchful. There's infinite other things. I'm going to click in here, Denise, with you. I see your hand up, and I want to make sure I take care of whatever it is you need since you just got in here. Did you want to come onto the screen and ask for something or have a question? Saw a hand up, Denise. I don't see you now, so I think I kind of lost you. Let me try again. I see you.
I just wanted to let you know I was here.
I got you. Yes, I see you.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
No problem. Welcome. We're glad you arrived, even when it's not right there. And you will get the practice we did in the archive, and I would encourage you to take a look at that. Okay, so here we are with this triggering event. I'd like everybody then take one of your, let's work with an unpleasant event. Can everybody think of an unpleasant event from your unpleasant event cycle? You don't have to go back that far. If anybody had to look at their notes for an unpleasant event, that means you have a truly blessed life. Yeah, for sure. Just a moment of unpleasantness. We don't want the worst, a 3 to 4 on a 10-point scale, something like that. Okay, so everybody got one? Triggering event. Triggering event just is something to which we are reacting in this stress cycle. Ultimately, it can also be something that can invite and awaken and inspire response. Isn't that lovely? They're the same. It's not like when I get good stuff, then I can respond. And when I get bad stuff, then I call those triggering events. By the way, we do. We do. But they're the same event. We're going to learn how to take that which we have reacted to and actually see how it's actually an invitation to greater wisdom, an invitation to a moment of mindfulness, an invitation to opening our hearts more, to be compassionate, to be kind, loving towards ourselves and ultimately to others. But so you've got your triggering event, the thing that you have defined as unpleasant. Could everybody just write that somewhere on a sheet of paper just so we can track this together a little? So let's see, triggering event. I'm going to use a very simple, easy one. This is probably a 1 or 2 on my scale. My triggering event is my husband in the bed treating it like his office. Right? No big deal, really. It just is irritating to me. I'm trying to get ready. He's on the computer, on the bed, and it's boundary stuff for me. So that's going to be mine. It's a very simple, no big deal moment. So that's my triggering event. My husband getting back on the computer as I'm trying to get ready in the bedroom. Okay. So here's the thing about triggering events we want to remember. The triggering event is triggering for only one reason. Does anybody know the reason? Why is the triggering event triggering? Anybody write that there or come on? Yes, Philip, why is the triggering event triggering?
Because we perceive it to be negative.
Our perception is, our conditioning is, our historical context is, our storyline, you get this idea, is, our lens says, no, I don't want this. I don't like this. And I don't want this to be here. Now, when you heard me say my husband being on the computer in the bedroom, at least some number of you went, that doesn't seem like anything. What's the big, why would that be a triggering event? That's no big deal. That's because in your lens, in your context, in your conditioning, in your history, very possibly, and there's no right or wrong to this, is there? That's no big deal. That my husband cares enough to look for that crazy part for the new dryer. That's actually terrific, right? So particularly, I have several single friends now in their 60s. And you know what they always say to me? Shut up. You've got a guy who cares about you. You've got a guy who cares about making sure things are okay. So don't complain at all. Well, the truth is I don't complain, but I recognize the reality for me that when I'm in a focused attention mode, other things, I can find them frustrating. And I'm walking around them and I'm stepping over them and I'm trying to find my pants and I'm in the melee of what looks like an office now. And so for me, that's a little triggering. That's a little triggering. No, it doesn't mean anything about him. It doesn't mean anything about the situation. I just recognized with my mindfulness that that was triggering. So we're going to move from that triggering event that you've named right down to where Philip was already talking. And the truth is that those are perceptions, we call them, not truths. It doesn't mean my husband should be doing it differently. It doesn't mean what he was doing wasn't okay. It doesn't mean if he doesn't change that, we're going to get divorced. It doesn't mean anything. It means I have a perception. And my perception is, in the neuroscience, it says there's only two perceptions. Guess what they are? Good, likable, workable, want it, something to bond to connect with, to join, movement towards, we could say, let's look at it in all those ways, or this is going to kill me. Not liking, not wanting, it's a threat. I want it to go away. I'm immediately assessing it as the tiger. And in fact, with that assessment, I'm immediately faster than you can blink, starting to release a whole set of chemicals that say, this isn't good. Do you get what I'm saying? Everybody get it? We're not having 50 feelings. We're not having the plethora of emotions yet. We're just having immediate trigger hit. The hit is ugh or ah. And with the ick, we immediately start some stress chemicals. Wow. You didn't do anything yet. You just walked in the bedroom, right? That's how fast a stress reaction cycle can be activated. Walked into the bedroom. I've got to get my stuff going. There he is. Blah. Wah. Interestingly, you can tell when that happens. How? How do you know? Immediate assessment. It's actually before we even form opinions, judgments, beliefs, prejudice, and bias. That comes later. This one's just straight on neurochemistry, and then the physiology of the body activates. I got warmer right away. I just felt like a flood. First thing that happened. I just saw him sitting on the bed, by the way. This was not a big event. Yes, we're making the event by our own assessment. We call it attribution. We're attributing the experience as something bad, wrong, or that we don't want or like. Yes, we can feel it. It's like electricity. There's often an energy in it. I got the polyvagal flood. Whew, just like, okay, now I'm going to have to deal with this. Sweat, yep. Flushing, yes. Feel that energy. It's going, we're going to have to do something. We're going to have to move. We're going to have to activate in some amazing way. And you're already doing it. You didn't say a word yet. You didn't say a word. You didn't open your mouth. You didn't do anything. So just know you're already activated. You didn't even decide anything. It just happened. So that immediate perception, we're going to watch for that this week. That's the beginning of a reaction and also the beginning of our suffering, because we immediately appraise. It's called initial appraisal. The first appraisal, bang. Now I just went like this past my computer. I'll give you another example. I see a bunch of pink flowers growing on the boundary of my property. I didn't know the roses were blooming over there. They're beautiful. I just went, ah. It just happened. And it really, in an amazing way, was already somewhat settling for me. So just know, it's not just negatives, it's positives and negatives. Oh, I like this. I want this. I'm bonding and connecting. I don't want it. I don't like it. I want it to go away. And in fact, I'm willing to go through some steps, usually, to get rid of it. That's how much we don't like it. In animal kingdom, we might say the desire to bond versus the threat mode or the desire to kill. You're either friend or foe, and it's very immediate, right? Either something we work towards or something we at our brainstem level, and that's where this is happening, immediate and initial appraisal, that's where that's happening. That's exactly what we're doing. We then, because we have a larger capacity, go right up into the prefrontal. But by the way, it's already somewhat damaged. It's sitting in the poison now of adrenaline, cortisol, and some other things. And actually, it's not clear seeing. It's not really able to neutrally assess our circumstance. And so we begin with that first initial hit of, I don't like it, I don't want it, and I want it to go away. We then add evidence with opinions, judgments, and beliefs. We begin to collect evidence right here, and we rely on our old judgments. So people who sit on their bed all day, I'm just drawing extremes. This is an old core belief thought, probably somewhere. People who sit on their beds all day are lazy. I'm not actually thinking that, that's just an example. But that could shape, couldn't it? That very core belief thought. Couldn't it shape my seeing my husband sitting on the bed on the computer and go, he shouldn't be doing that. That's not right, right? Another core belief thought or belief could be, well, if what people should do work in workspace, they should do bedroom things in the bedroom. Let me just draw another core belief thought. People should eat in the kitchen. This is actually a part of a family value. There were right things to do in right places. You ate in the kitchen. We did not eat in our living room, as an example. In my heritage, in my family, is it right or wrong? No, it doesn't mean anything. It just means I learned an early set of rules. And the rules were you ate in the kitchen, you relaxed and did family time in the living room, you slept in the bedroom, you did not eat in the bedroom. You did not do your work at the kitchen table, right? Now that's an old core belief thought, by the way. I don't really even believe it anymore, because now we have all these big spaces where people do everything. And I suspect it's playing its part in my triggering event. That old history that I actually don't even believe, I think is probably at play there a little bit. Don't you? I think so. Isn't it interesting? And I actually didn't make much contact with that till right now. Just till right now. But it's good to know, what are these core belief thoughts that I don't even intentionally bring up? I'm not even holding these thoughts as real, by the way. They're not even there for me. I don't even think it's true. And they still probably had a little to do with that triggering event. It's good to know. So from the triggering event, that immediate appraisal, good, bad, right, wrong, not so much. And then we begin to feed it. We begin to feed our initial appraisal with old belief thoughts, old core values, things that actually often we don't even know are at play. Guess what this leads to? Well, it feeds the monster of our reactivity. It gives us entitlement. It gives us a sense of rightness or righteousness. It gives us a sense of validity, doesn't it? I'm entitled to this because he shouldn't be sitting on the bed doing the work for the blah, blah, from my old core lens. And guess what I do next? I then feel entitled to what? React. So what do? I'm going to make up a story for this a little bit because I could make a face. What are you doing on the bed again? I could actually say something, couldn't I? Like, can't you do this somewhere else? Can't you go find a desk or sit at a table? Or are you always having to come into this bedroom several times a day to sit on the bed to do all this, right? You've got papers everywhere now. This is really annoying. You're doing the wrong thing. This would be easy. And then acting it out is like, isn't it? I've just now reinforced my position, perspective, and reaction. The chance of me actually taking an action with it into a habitual reaction, saying, you're annoying me, this is wrong, why don't you find another place, do it some other way, is actually about 90%. We just set ourselves up for this, in fact, to happen. I just want to stop here. We're going to talk later about what happens. What happens on the whole rest of that scale that's got blanks in it is we're reinforcing then not only our beliefs, we reinforce our behavior. I'm entitled to yell about this. I'm entitled to be annoyed. I'm entitled to get in an argument. I'm entitled to move all your papers. I'm entitled to be cranky with you or act out aggression or ill will. And we feed it. And then we further feed it with evidence that we then further collect. I don't want to talk about that so much. Let's just stop here and make sure you understand what I'm saying. Reactions happen in little tiny parts. They are not one big kaboom, but they do feel like it, don't they? They're not. They're a series of little, John Kabat-Zinn himself calls those orthogonal rotations, little clicks into the default mode, into the threat mode, into reactivity mode. And by the way, it's well practiced and now deeply rooted. So it's much easier to tip into the defaults where we've been acting out, reacting, and acting against on the negative triggers for some, usually for most of us, many, many, many years. So let's just stop here for a second and see if we have any questions about this. What are your thoughts about this? Could you see the cycle for yourself in your own triggering event? Yeah. Could you see your own belief thoughts? Shouldn't happen. Shouldn't be like this. This is not right. This is not friendly. This is not loving. This is not kind. This is not something, right? We're usually in the nots mode here in a negative reaction many times a day. Yes, we do. It's good news. You're noticing this pattern is essential to breaking it. Here's why. This is what we know. We actually know that if you go from triggering events to perceptions and appraisals down to belief, thoughts, and judgments, remember what I said, the momentum of that is likely to carry you away into an old destructive habit pattern, whether it's striking out, shutting down, right? Suppressing, disconnecting, withdrawing, attacking, right? That's the fight or flights, I'm in it. They're all reaction. We're likely to just feed them so that they become their own momentous entity. We're no longer in the driver's seat of these reactions. You know them, don't you? Because you know the one where the mouth opened, something came out, and you yourself went, oh my, yikes. That's not good. This is not helpful. This will not be a corrective attribution. It's going to cause a problem. It's going to cause a conflict. It's going to cause misunderstanding. It's going to cause distress, pain, or suffering. And yet the mouth keeps talking, doesn't it? Brain stem work, which is why we want to learn in our increased mindfulness, by the way. We learn more quickly how to go, oh, here's the thinking happening that's actually feeding this energy and says, go ahead, because nobody should be sitting on the bed doing the compute, blah, 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 right, all day long. And then we're out of control because the habit has an energy, a potency, and a power. It's going to carry you away. And I mean big time. You'll be at the end of that cycle going, what happened here? What did I say? What was going on? Yikes. Which is why our 3 to 5 breath practice, noticing the initial trigger, feeling the energy and heat in the body. Remember, we named some of that beautifully. And then rather than just going, whack, we actually stop, pause, breathe, gather. I get my hands right on my own chest so I can bring some care to myself. Wait a minute. Let's just be here first with this. Guess how much the mind doesn't like that? Mostly. I don't want to be here with this. I don't like the feelings of this. I don't like the unpleasant of this. And rather than attend to it mindfully by coming home to myself, I'm going to take that energy and project it out onto, guess who? You. And it feels pretty good, doesn't it? Because the release is there, right onto you. It's rarely helpful unless you're actually running from a tiger. In which case, yep, whatever that energy gives you the insight to do, we're just going to go with that. That's right. It'll be highly focused for a moment. It is, in fact, potentially life-threatening, as the brain has assessed by my husband sitting on the bed. Not quite, right? And in fact, is a waste of energy. What's the bad news? Waste of energy, waste of resource, wearing on organs. You aren't going through an adrenaline flood at no consequence. You are going to pay. There's a washed out at the end of that thing that's not going to be so good for you, right? So rather than get caught in the tumult, our work here is to see if we can't begin to catch it at the trigger. Notice that hyper reactivity and actually begin to practice stopping, pausing, and softening back into our own experience. Can I be with myself? Isn't this key? Can I be with myself in my own distress rather than think I had to kill my husband? Can I be with myself as companion, truly caring, truly mindful, truly present, so that I can really assess what we call right response, or choosing responding over the autopilot, right? The autopilot of reactivity. So here's an example. Catching my own tightened body, gripped jaw, shoulders rising, me thinking, one more time. He's sitting right there on my new quilt with the, I say, hey, yeah, exactly right, Julie. Hey, my brand new quilt. Hey, how about if we talk about, it's not a conversation he's that interested in, so I know this already. How about if we talk about over the weekend, a place for you to have all your paper and your computer so you can get to it when you want and not when you don't want, without anybody fussing with it, having to move it, right? That's just your place. How about if we do that? Would that be workable? By the way, I did say that. By the way, you don't necessarily get the answers you were hoping for. So don't believe that in a moment of responding, which I actually was able to cultivate, what comes back is love, appreciation, gratitude, no, or even joining. What does he say to me? I don't need to move my stuff. I actually like my stuff where it is. The only person who doesn't like where my stuff is you. So why don't you change and just stop being bothered by it? That would be way simpler than a desk, than a conversation that I actually don't really want to have. That, wouldn't it? But hey, I have a simpler solution. Just don't care about it. Now, by the way, I don't want to say that there's anything wrong with that consideration either, right? Because in fact, maybe it's going to be some combinations of these things, right? Maybe I am going to have to let go of some of this or more. Maybe he can take sections that can make this a little, right? Maybe, but we can't begin to have that conversation, can we? From reactivity. No potential, no possibility, no compassion, no joining, no let me understand how it is for you. And I also want you to be able to open and understand how it is for me from that point of reactivity, because that closes the neural circuitry. It does not open it in love, care, compassion, genuine interest at all. Don't mistake it. That's right. More triggers, more triggers. Once we're triggered, the possibility for being re-triggered within the next 20 minutes is about 100%. We try to catch it right where it's happening. I like to call, by the way, triggering events, bells of awakening, moments of opportunity. Wouldn't it be amazing? Because boy, we're already pretty focused. We've already gathered the attention to the object as, why not? What an opportunity then to go, okay, I've got some energy. Let me first offer this in a settled way to myself so that I can understand what my own reactivity is here. Attend to that. Attend to that with care, compassion, wisdom, and kindness. And then maybe, not always, sometimes I don't need to do anything after that. I go, wait a minute, I'm okay. This is actually all right. I was just feeling overwhelmed in that moment. I was just moving from one big thing to another. I don't know if he has to get a desk because of that, right? I can actually bring clear seeing, more possibilities for resolution if there is even one. And sometimes we don't even need them. The resolution was what? Attending kindly, gently, and caringly to myself. That's number one. Everything else is 2, 3, 4, 8, 10, and 50, right? That's not the nature, though, is it, of a reaction? A reaction says, that has to be different. And in fact, then our fight or flight, our fix or flee or freeze begins to take shape. Here's something from Linda. Let's take a look at it, and then we'll take a quick break. I've been wondering, often I think I'm responding to a trigger mindfully for the first several times it happens, but then after 5 or 6 times, my patience runs out and I shift into reaction mode. Yes, you do. Which makes me wonder if I was truly being mindful. Yes, it is possible. Tell you why. Or just temporarily suppressing my reactions, which were indeed still happening there beneath. Beautiful question. Isn't that a beautiful question? And the answer is both. I have to say, likely both. Don't we on purpose go, now, wait a minute. I can handle this. I'm really noticing the energy in the body. I can be kind. I can be caring. I can be sweet. I can really attend to this in a loving way, make sure it gets resolved, and then go happily on my way, which is why I chose to say nothing. So I'll stay with myself, Linda, for this example. And then I said, hey, I have an idea. How about if over the weekend we talk about blah, blah? Do you know what my husband picked up? I was still slightly in reaction mode because I was looking to fix this thing. He got it, which is why he, in fact, went, no, no, I don't think we need to fix anything. I think the fixing thing is just you. The only person who needs to fix anything is right there. I'm actually completely fine. He could still pick that up. Was I more mindful? Yes, I was. Did I make a choice versus just react? I did. Was it still with a little bit of agenda, expectation, preference, and wanting it to be some other way? Oh, for sure. Did he pick that up because he's known me for 46 years? 1 second later. He went, oh yeah, you're just trying to move this thing out of the way by getting me over there. Well, it's not going to be that fast. Nope, actually I'm good. Sounds like you might need to move. So yes, Linda, both can happen. And don't you all notice it too? Like here we are, I'm going to wait. I'm going to settle. I do a little. There's still a little energy, little focus still going that way. If I could just bring this niceness, if I could just bring this kind attention over there, and then they could stop being doing them. That agenda actually almost always is still a part of a reaction. Yeah, actually it is. And gosh, it's such big work, right? I should not have spoken about it then at all. I should not have. I should have gone, oh, I can feel this. I'm going to let this be. I'm leaving anyway to teach a class. It wasn't like I was going to bed. I'm going to let this go. I'm going to actually do some personal work, including my beautiful, that meditation we did. Really, what's my agenda? What's my intention? Am I truly being open? Not exactly. I just want him to be different. That will usually not work. And that's true too. Right? That's true. True. We understand the difference. Yes, we can bring mindfulness to a reaction. Beautiful work. I'm so respectful of anybody who can catch the avalanche as it's going down the hill and stop it. That's big work. What we shouldn't do, though, is with the other hand go, I think I'll try to solve the problem now. I think I just got the avalanche with this hand. With this one, I'm going to get over there and see if I can influence, affect, and maybe change this. No, we've got to really get both hands where? What did I say? Right back here, right back to us. As long as we're doing knob turning over here, holding the avalanche over there, we're not going to truly be present, are we? You cannot do those two things at once because that's what the neuroscience says. You have to be all present. Both hands have to be here. And how? Oh, not turning knobs. If I could only figure out how to get them off that bed, then I could finally, right, be happy. No, no, hands were not like this. Not at all. I'm not coming to him going, wait a minute, I need to understand XYZ and also listen to what you're trying to tell me about space for you. I wasn't even kind of there. I was just in fix mode, another version of reactivity. You'll know it. Do you know how you're going to always know you're in reactivity and fix mode? Most people aren't going to like your fix. They're not going to work with you. They're going to go just what my husband did. No, thanks. No, don't eat it. Can I, my husband just did this as another example, and then we'll take a quick break before our practice. He just said to my son, hey, I got a coupon for a full detail on your car. It's a great deal. I think you should do it. Right? Because he's frequently frustrated by how my son is taking care of his car. I found a coupon. Look at this, $149, full detail. And then you can, right? What did my son do? Why do I need a full detail? What coupon? Why don't you use the coupon? Why do I need the coupon? I don't need a coupon because I'm not going to do it to begin with. This is not right. And he could feel the agenda, couldn't he? It's not like my son said to my husband, hey, I really want to get this car taken care of. Do you have any ideas, Dad? Because you're a real car guy. You have any thoughts on how I can best do this? Or that never happened. Here comes the solution from the other side of the moon. That's how you know it's an agenda. Nobody was looking but you. Yeah, as we all chuckle. Yes, women are the best at this. Yeah. Like, wait a minute, I'm going to take care of that for you. Really? Wasn't even a problem. I'm going to vacuum that for you. I'm going to straighten that drawer for you. I'm going to get in that garage for you. I'm going to organize your papers for you. And there's no, it's just you going, I got to get this because this is nuts. So be careful. Because that's just as much, it's a fixer version of reactivity, and it will frequently not work. And then you'll feel what? Rejected, not appreciated, I think often comes out of that. right? Not feeling valued or that your efforts were recognized as worthy. And we in some way can often set that up for ourselves. So I just want us to be cautious about that. Why don't we take a 5-minute break? If you have any questions, please feel free to write them in chat and I'll try to address them when I get back. But we're going to spend the rest of our time in our sitting meditation, the next sitting meditation. This will be slightly different as an option for you for this week's practice. So everybody get up, get something to drink, write your question there if you have any. I'll look forward to seeing you in just a minute. If there are any questions before we go on to the meditation for this week. Nope, we're good. So this week, we're going to start to invite a loving kindness practice as a part of our sitting meditation practice. And we're going to be working on that next week, along with our difficult and stressful communications calendar. So this week, you're going to have the opportunity to capture moments of reactivity as we are interacting with others. It's called difficult or stressful communication calendar. It's like a pleasant or unpleasant events calendar. It's in week 5 there, except it says, what was the situation with the other? What was you believing? What were your fears or concerns? Now that you're reflecting on this, what do you see as possibility? And we're going to then work on nonviolent communication next, as well as loving kindness practice. Loving kindness practice for me is one of the essential practices in mindfulness traditions. It is something I do every day. And you'll notice that I do some part of it at the end of every meditation because I repeat some of the phrases. And the phrases are wishes for well-being. Go like what? May I be happy. May I be free from distress. May I have ease. May I be safe. And you'll hear me say it at the end of each practice because this is part of the point of our concentration mindfulness practice. It is to be able then to see the moments of distress and reactivity, and rather than feed them or fuel them with ill will towards the other or hatred, ill will, or judgment towards oneself. It's all the same version of collapse, by the way. All of it. It's the same. It's still shut down. It's still limiting. It's still hardening. It's still heart protecting and closing. We will actually begin by offering kindness, genuine kindness to ourselves in this loving kindness towards the self practice. I see that some of you are already well set up for this. How wonderful. Let's get yourself situated. And then I'll look at the end one more time at the practices, though this is the base. You're going to be doing this, loving kindness towards the self, as one of your practices possibilities for this week. So love and kindness practice for me is gentle. It is friendly. It is caring. It is like an embrace. And so if it doesn't feel that way for you as you're sitting, make sure you adjust yourself in a posture that then invites that warmth, that sense of support. For some people, they choose to lie down for loving kindness practice because it gives them an even greater sense of support for the back of the body. I'm going to sit up today, but just know as you're practicing this week that there are those adaptations that may suit you well, or may open the heart a little more, or may be a little more soothing for you than the sitting meditation posture itself. Ultimately, we want to be loving and kind in all our postures, right? And so we'll find ourselves in the seat or the posture we've taken. Once again, just beginning to turn the attention gently towards a sense of the body sitting here. And really, I've been talking, so that whole sense of the weight of my body in the seat, back of the legs, I have not been checking in on that. And just when I said it for myself, I was like, oh, right, here's my anchor. Here's contact. I can come home and settle right here. Make sure the hands are comfortably in the lap or on the leg. Remember, there's no one right way to breathe, so be watchful of that judging, opinionating, evaluating mind. We're just resting in the body. And then for me in the loving kindness practice, I always invite the practice aspiration to include not only myself, but another. That's part of expanding and opening our own hearts. Our practice is a benefit not only to us, but to others. And I'm going to call on my husband today, and I'm going to invite him in and ask that the benefits of this practice also be a benefit to him. You can name a special one or a group. And this very intention and aspiration setting is a way to begin to open us into a loving, caring frame. And another way that we can do it as we're resting here, as we're just resting in the body, I'd like you to think of a couple moments of kindness, either kindness offered by you or kindness offered to you. It tends to generate that sense of warmth, of lightness, open space, an active and caring heart. And isn't it interesting? It can be kindness moved and acted in any direction, by you or for you. It gets the same response from the heart mind. And I'd like you to recollect these moments with a gentle smile, maybe a feeling of appreciation or gratitude, and that feeling of kindness and friendliness. And then I'd like you to see where you notice that felt sense in your own body as you're recollecting these acts of kindness, these acts of care, connection, love, belonging. See where you feel the truth of that vibrating in your own body. And rest your attention there. For me, it just activates the whole heart space, really the chest region completely, and then even a little below. And I'm just feeling that vibration, that energy. It feels a little tingly. I can tell there's extra energy there. Sometimes I even feel a bit of an ache, as if as the heart is growing, it does pushing beyond some boundary, some border, some wall. So we can breathe directly into the heart, the physical heart, and then beyond into the emotional or felt sense heart. We can actually direct the breath and our attention there. We're feeling the expanding as we focus on this part of the body with the in-breath. Let it open, expand, become more fluid, less fixed. And just relaxing, releasing any tensions, any armoring, any tightness, any holding back that happens around the heart. Heart-centered breath. This is a real opportunity to open, to be accepting, and allowing whatever sensations you happen to notice here. Maybe a pinch, an ache, a heaviness, a weariness, a lightness, an opening. It's all workable. And we're just breathing into the space to know something about our own heart mind right here. And then I'd like to invite a little bit of self-care in this loving kindness towards the self, beginning in our own bodies. And so we're going to take that open, tender, caring, loving heart, and we're going to bring it down into the feet along with the breath. We're not going to stay very long, maybe just a breath, but we're going to be offering loving kindness to the body in its specific parts as a way to begin. So breathing down to the feet, feeling into them. May the feet be well. And then moving up to the ankles, the legs. Breathing into this part of the body like a mini body scan. Feeling the sensations that are alive here. May these ankles be well. Breathing into the ankle, offering the blessing, offering the phrase of loving kindness, and then let's move up into the lower legs. Cast the offering your attention like a gentle massage, caring, gentle, kind. attentive. May these lower legs be well. Into the knees. May these knees be well. Moving up into the upper legs. Bringing curiosity, non-judgment. An open, receptive mind and heart. May these upper legs be well. Moving into the hips. May these hips be well. Then moving into the area of the back. May this back be well. Feet into the shoulders. May these shoulders be well. And breathing down the arms. Touching into points of sensation. Some will be pleasant, some will be neutral, some may be unpleasant, and we're opening to receive them all. May these arms, these hands, may they be well. Breathing up into the head, the face. May the whole of my head be well, both internal and external. Coming around the front of the body, touching into the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the whole of the face. May this face be well. Dropping into the throat. May this throat be well. Coming down into the chest, the belly, the abdomen. May the whole of this softened front of the body be well. Offering your kindness, your genuine wish for healthy, happy, easeful, all those wishes brought here to this very part of the body. And then the whole body, may my whole body be well. And then let's come up into the heart space once again. Usually by now I feel some expanding or activation in this part of the body. We're going to see if we can't grow that a little bit further beyond the sense of our own body to include not only our bodies, but our whole being. I will offer these traditional phrases, but we always try to offer phrases of loving kindness that are most real, most relevant, most true for us. So we offer what we can. Just the repetition of the phrases is seen as valuable. So if you don't have another one in mind, just stick with the one that's being offered. May I be happy. truly happy. Breathe it in. See if you can't expand your own heart space, making room for yourself. Breathing it in. And then if it feels right, let it radiate or translate throughout the whole body as best you can. And if it just stays there in the heart space, that's just fine. Feel it wherever you can. May I be free from pain, from fear, from harm, and from all suffering. You may feel nothing, you may feel warmth, you may feel points of light. Some people notice a sense of just energy moving through the body. There's no right or wrong way. It's opening the heart-mind quality to this friendliness towards oneself. No one right way to feel. May I have ease of being. Offering this wish to yourself and to whatever part of the body is open, receptive. I just try to send it as a wave with the breath, whole body, after I touch into the heart. May I remember my capacity for mindfulness, for friendliness, for kindness and care. May I remember who I am. We can ride the blessings on the wave of the breath. And remember, if these don't have any meaning for you or you can't connect with them, make a personal offering. May I be happy, truly happy. May I be free from fear, from pain, from inner and outer harm, from all suffering. May I have ease of being. And may I remember my own capacities for this true friendship with myself. And then for the last moment, we'll just rest in that wide open space, that awakened heart mind. Just sending that friendliness, that goodness, that connection throughout the whole body. And then we can extend this heart not only to ourselves for our end, but also to that one to whom we also dedicated this practice, that special one or that group. May we all be happy. May we all be free from pain, from fear, from loneliness, from aggression, conflict, and suffering. May we all have ease of being. And may we offer our goodness, kind, caring, and friendly hearts, both in ourselves and in us. This practice today. Okay, there we are. I want to show you the, if I can, let me go to the week. If I can find it, to show you the difficult communication calendar in week 5. I'm looking for that here. So it's right under course materials, week 5. And then it says difficult or stressful communication calendar. I'm going to share that for a second, just so you know what to look for. You see that there? Awareness of a difficult or stressful communication calendar. Each day this week, like we did pleasant and unpleasant events, we're going to see if we can capture a moment of reactivity as it with a communication with another. Some people have asked, can I use myself? It'd be my preference this week that we not do that. And yes, we do have difficult communications with ourselves regularly. But I'd like you to actually capture some of those in real time, real life, as it relates to another. We're not trying to solve a problem here. We're just trying to capture the communication. We're trying to understand how it began. How did the difficulty begin? What did we want from it? What did the other person want? We want to investigate intention there. How did you feel during the communication? And how are you feeling now? Did this situation get resolved? And how might we contribute? How might there be some possibility for greater friendliness, greater kindness, greater care, or understanding even? So that's going to be the one this week. That's the most important. This practice, you're going to be able to do the sitting meditation practice. You're going to be able to do the loving kindness practice. There's a couple available, including this one. Loving kindness toward the self is my strong recommendation for beginning. We often like to go out and start offering to others, but we frequently do not stay home and offer sufficiently to ourselves. I really want us to get good at that, because that's going to be the way we break the cycle of reactivity. We're going to break it by rather than just letting energy shoot out. with this, my difficulty or problem, we're going to gather that energy, really soak it in ourselves, getting, like I said, turning our beautiful heart minds and our mindfulness towards ourselves in a moment of pause, offering what we need so that we can see clearly and then respond most wholesomely, most whole. So that's the practices for this week. Thank you so much. I'm going to be sticking around for a second. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to stay. I do know that several of you have work and have other places to get, things to do. So I want to make sure that you know it's fine to disconnect now. You'll get the summary. You'll get this archived recording as soon as it becomes available to me. And good luck with your practices this week. Let's stay in the practice. This is not the time to think we've got it together and abandon ourselves. It is the time to make a deeper commitment to the practices, particularly these. We can devalue these too easily. We can go, I don't need that part. I just need to be focused over here. Don't do that to yourselves. It's just not true. It's completely wrong. And these are essential mindfulness practices for our healthiest selves. So thank you all so much. Blessings to all of you. I'm grateful for your participation. You guys are doing such a great job. Thank you all so much. Feel free to click off if you have a chat or question. I'm going to stay on. I'm going to leave the recording on for those, unless you ask me to take it off, in which case I happily will, only because they have been, most questions have been so helpful to others. Let's go see if I have any here. Not so far. It looks pretty good so far. Just, you're also welcome. Thank you as well. I'll just hang on for a minute. Looks like we're losing most everybody. So I'm going to assume we don't have too many questions for right now. Good luck with your practice then this week, everyone. I'll look forward to seeing you next Friday for week 6, where we will be practicing compassionate communication with others. I look forward to being with you then, everyone. Be well.